Alright. Let's get lucky.
'Cause I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive.
Hello everyone, and I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing this everything Telltale games, Transformers, and more, and welcome back to yet another Transformers video. This time, however, we're not going to be reviewing an episode of Transformers Earthspark. We're not going to be talking about any news about a Transformers TV show. So, for the first time in a very long time for this channel, actually, I'm actually going to be talking about a Transformers video game. Yeah, that's right, an actual Transformers video game. So, this past Thursday was the 2022 Game Awards, and easily, without a doubt, in one of the best game awards in the past few years. We had a ton of cool new game announcements. For me personally, I'm most excited for stuff like Death Stranding 2, Hellboy Web of Weird, Viewfinder, and I think it was Divide Us or something like that. But no game announcement caught my attention more than this one did, and that is, of course, Transformers Reactivate, a brand new Transformers game being developed and published by Splash Damage. Now, this is a huge deal for the Transformers fandom, as with the exception of Transformers Battlegrounds, which came out 2 years ago back in 2020, but was really just sort of a tie-in, very generic, simplified version of something like XCOM or Fire Emblem, based in the Cyberverse continuity. Transformers Reactivate is huge, as it's the first real console and PC Transformers game that we've had in almost 7 years. The last time we had a Transformers video game that wasn't a mobile game or anything like that was Transformers Devastation, all the way back in 2015. That was developed by Platinum Games, who you may recognize as the creators of the Bayonetta franchise, Nier Automata, and Metal Gear Rising. So to see another Transformers game after so many years without one, it makes me so happy, and I absolutely love the art style of this trailer they premiered at the 2022 VGAs. I thought, like many others, I wasn't entirely sure this was a Transformers game at all until the very end, right before the cover, right before the logo was revealed. Like, it kind of gave me Transformers feels, and then when who I assume is Bumblebee stands up and looks at his hands, I'm thinking, this looks like a Transformers game, and the text looks like Cybertronian text, and then of course you see that big logo pop up at the very end of the trailer, and it's just, I'm so excited to talk about this. So yeah, we're going to be talking about everything to know about Transformers Reactivate, the brand new game from Splash Damage and Bulkhead Studios. So for those who don't know, Splash Damage is a British-based studio that's done a lot of multiplayer-focused games over the past 10 years. One of their first games, and honestly one of my favorites of all time, was a game they released back in 2011 called Brink, which focused on, basically, it was sort of like the precursor to games like Titanfall, or even, to a lesser extent, Overwatch, where it was basically a bunch of multiplayer team deathmatch-like games, where you had the one team of, like, the police force of this water utopia against the rebels doing objectives in sort of a multiplayer PvP campaign. It was so cool. Then, of course, they also did stuff creating their own IP game called Dirty Bomb a few years ago back in 2015. But though lately now they've just been sort of support studio for other game companies working on the multiplayer for games like Gears of War 4 and 5, Halo 4, Halo 5, and even Halo Infinite. So it's cool to see them now take what they've learned with stuff like Brink, Dirty Bomb, and the Gears of War games and bring that over to Transformers with Transformers Reactivate. I'm super excited to talk about it. We got a lot to talk about from regards to leaks, everything that's hidden in this trailer, and so much more. So excited as I'm talking about it, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So that out of the way, what exactly is Transformers Reactivate? Well, coming from the official website of Splash Damage, they state the following. Splash Damage, the developers behind Dirty Bomb, Gears of War Tactics 4, 5, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and more, today announced Transformers Reactivate, a 1 to 4 player online cooperative action game being developed in collaboration with Hasbro. This PC and console co-op game will offer players an opportunity to explore a fresh, new story within the Transformers universe. Transformers Reactivate will offer players a chance to immerse themselves in the Transformers universe like never before. They'll get to play some of their favorite characters, that are unique, weighty, and powerful, seamlessly converting between vehicle and bot form as they battle the Legion, the greatest threat the Autobots have ever faced. So that basically sort of basically gives a brief, rough summary of what exactly Transformers Reactivate will be about. That, as you can see from the trailer, there's this enemy alien race that comes down called the Legion that has taken over Earth, and it's up to you to form this ragtag Autobot resistance, basically fight back against them. What they don't tell you, though, is according to leaks that happened like a few years ago and even up to a few months ago, we won't just be playing as Autobots in this game. So, for those of you who don't know, Transformers Reactivate was actually leaked about, I want to say, 3 to 4 years ago, back in like 2018, 2019, when it was announced that Certain Affinity, who are the makers of games like Alien Isolation, apparently said that got leaked that they were working on a MMO Transformers game, and that was met with a lot of mixed reception from fans who didn't really want to see another like pay-to-win or pay live service Transformers game that would just be basically shovelware, essentially. And so there was no news about the game for about like 4 or 5 years until later on this year, about a few months ago, when more leaks about the game came out saying that it was being developed by Splash Damage as well, and it was going under the name Transformers Rise. Now, along with this time, a lot of more stuff was coming out Transformers Rise, which we now know as Reactivate, in that the game would essentially be in a sort of gameplay loop very similar to something like Destiny or The Division, where it's a very PvE-focused game, where you and a bunch of squad mates go on against a bunch of AI-controlled enemies, acquiring better loot and upgrades that make your character stronger. Basically a definition of a looter shooter, per se. So that was really all we had to go on Transformers Reactivate for a while, until literally about back in late October of this year, when 2 cutscenes from the game were presumably leaked online. Of course, I can't show them out of fear of getting copyright striked or having my whole channel taken down, but I can describe them to the best of my ability. And they were 2 cutscenes, one focused on Ratchet and one focused on Starscream. And they're basically involved the 2 of them working with humans alongside other Autobots and Decepticons such as Ironhide, Optimus, Soundwave, Shockwave, and even Slipstream to work with humans to take down some unknown alien race that could seemingly blend with technology. One thing that was interesting about these cutscenes, though, is that who voices them. So, with Optimus, he was not voiced by Peter Cullen, but actually John Bailey, aka the guy you may recognize who narrates all the Honest trailers on YouTube. He also voiced Optimus himself in the Transformers Power, the Combiner Wars Machinima series. But Starscream was actually voiced by Steve Bloom, who you may recognize previously voiced Starscream in Transformers Prime and Robots in Disguise 2015. So if that's true and that Steve Bloom is coming back to voice Starscream in this game, I'm super happy for that, because he is without doubt the definitive voice for Starscream in my opinion. But yeah, essentially what happens with this game is that we'll apparently be playing not only Autobots, but also Decepticons working together to take back Earth from this alien race called the Legion, which to me, based off the key art here, you can see it's like a war-torn New York City with a Statue of Liberty's head amidst this rubble. We actually see Ratchet buried in the rubble, like holding the gun up to a bunch of Legion soldiers, presumably. It's super cool. You even see a little "Are All Dead" graffiti etched into the Statue of Liberty's head, which is a nice little reference to the Marvel Transformers comics there. But yeah, there's a lot of characters, according to these leaks, that will be playable in Transformers Reactivate, so I'm going to go ahead and list off them now. For the Autobots, you will apparently be able to play as Optimus, Bumblebee, Ironhide, Ratchet, Windblade, RC, Rodimus, and Sunstreaker. And for the Decepticons, you will also be able to play as Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, and Slipstream. So, who knows how this game is going. They may end up making DLC for it later down the line that adds more characters or new missions and so on. If it's anything like Destiny, I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be like. But I'm super excited to see what Splash Damage does with Transformers Reactivate. And if it's anything like Brink or Dirty Bomb, I'm sure this is going to be a really, really good game. But enough about that. Let's go ahead now and finally talk about the trailer we got a few nights ago at the 2022 VGAs. Now, like I said at the beginning of my video here, the Transformers Reactivate teaser trailer, it's very hard to tell that it's for a Transformers game initially. For anyone who doesn't know, like, Transformers, like Cybertronian text and all that, you might think this is just some generic AAA third-person sci-fi action adventure game with you battling an alien race, and for a while I thought it was too, but there's quite a few hints in here that give you it away that it's a Transformers video game. First off here, there is plenty of Cybertronian text flashing over this this trailer, which we later learn at the end of this trailer, it's from Bumblebee's POV. You see a bunch of Cybertronian text that has been meticulously decrypted by the Transformers community, so I'll go ahead and talk about that as it goes on. In this first shot here, where we see a group of humans in front of Bumblebee, with the one here with the sort of exoskeleton, the exosuit around him, basically suggesting that they just scrap him for parts. We actually have a translation here, courtesy of some Twitter users. So I'll go ahead and read that from top to bottom. We have on the top that says protocol setup, and then this guy with the exosuit is actually a character named Marcus Irving. As we see here through the text dialogue here, it says Marcus Irving, human male, age 43, data incorrect, affiliation EDC, non-hostile. So I assume these must be our main, while we won't be playing as the humans, which a lot of people were concerned about based on this trailer, that maybe we'd actually be playing as humans, collecting, like, destroyed Autobots to try and build up our army. I don't think that's the case. I think they confirm, Splash Damage confirmed we are going to be playing as just Autobots and later on Decepticons in this game, which is cool to see. After that, though, it cuts to a later shot, presumably, of more of the humans working on repairing Bumblebee. This guy in particular with the tech goggles, while he doesn't have a name in the trailer, he actually is featured prominently in one of the 2 leaked cutscenes that was shown, specifically the one involving Ratchet, who Ratchet claims that this person's name is Delvin. Now, Delvin here isn't named in this actual trailer, as if you see in the translations of this scene, it just says unknown, scanning unknown, human, age unknown, affiliation unknown. So he has no idea who this person is. What's important, though, is the red-haired woman next to the left of Delvin that B is scanning here as well. Because for the briefest of moments, you can see actual picture, what looks like presumably of this woman, flash on Bumblebee's heads-up display, but then flash red before disappearing. With the text, the Cybertronian text deciphered by the Twitter community on Twitter for Transformers Reactivate, we can read it as the following. Marissa Fairborn, error, match incorrect, human female, age 32, affiliation EDC ally, searching for match unknown, match incorrect. So if the name Marissa Fairborn means anything to you, she is a very prominent figure in the Transformers universe, specifically in G1 and the IDW 2005 comics. Specifically in those comics, Marissa was one of the leading human allies in like the Transformer in the EDC, or the Earth Defense Committee, I think it's called, something like that. She had a big role, especially in the IDW comics, where she was essentially the head of the EDC, basically acting as the human ambassador for Cybertron. She even had a brief relationship with Thundercracker in the comics, where the two of them sort of had an on and off thing together. But the fact that, though, B is scanning this woman's face and it says Marissa Fairborn, match incorrect, it leads him to believe that the woman in the picture is Marissa, but the one B is scanning that he thinks is Marissa is not. This is some other woman that he thinks just bears a striking resemblance to Marissa. And right off the bat, though, that tells me a lot of how Splash Damage is paying so much attention to Transformers lore by having this such a prominent character from the G1 and IW comics in their game, which is distinctly its own continuity. It's not tied to the Prime show like War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron were. It's not tied to Cyberverse cartoon like Battlegrounds was. For all we know, Transformers Reactivate is in its very own continuity, which I really like to see. And the fact that Splash Damage is not just going, oh, well, here are all about Decepticons and that's just kind of it. But the fact that they're actually putting in stuff from other pieces of Transformers lore, it really lets you know that Splash Damage cares a lot about the Transformers IP and want to do their best with this, and I'm really happy to see that. So all these characters, Delvin, Marcus, the Marissa lookalike, and this other unknown woman who we don't know her name is, are seen repairing Bumblebee. It suddenly cuts to this scene, presumably in Times Square, from Bumblebee's POV of a flashback earlier where he's seen watching all the, like, thousands of humans running away from this huge, like, Reaper Mass Effect looking ship crash down into the city and deploy a bunch of Legion soldiers. If you look, though, closely on the very left of the screen by this billboard, you can actually see it's an ad for a soda called Prime Cola, and it says, convert your, but it's, the last word is cut off, so that's your first hint that this is a Transformers game. In fact, that's called Prime Cola, because I'm pretty sure that was a running gag of a soda brand in the IDW comics and even animated, so it's cool to see that. But then also, reading the Cybertronian text on this little thing, it says, searching organic life unknown, searching inorganic life unknown, possible form deep space craft, ship designation unknown, response protocol HITX, hostile landfall. So this is basically presumably when the Legion first arrived on Earth, sending in all these troops to essentially take over the world. And then it just cuts to more Stod. Like, it's sort of mix match between Marcus, Delvin, and the rest of the humans basically repairing B, and then flashing back to like how he ends up in this damaged state. As we see this one shot of Delvin repairing B, the screen glitches again, showing more Cybertronian text, basically saying stuff like fault found, equilibrium core status reconnected, showing that basically the repairs are going along smoothly. But then the biggest things here are when it cuts back to the city, which is now heavily been destroyed. We see Legion soldiers flying all over in the sky. There's gunfire all over the place. It makes this look really dark, which I would be really happy if this was our first ever M-rated Transformers game, but more likely than not, it's probably gonna be rated T, and that's not gonna make me like it any less if it is rated T. I just think it'd be really cool if we actually got an M-rated Transformers game for one. So as B's watching all of these Legion soldiers and troops just wreaking havoc, we cut to this one really important shot of B's in his alt mode alongside two other vehicles that are shooting up at a bunch of Legion soldiers, but they get taken out by two other Legion like grunts that jump on top of them and drive them off. If you look really closely though through all the smoke at these two vehicles in front of Bumblebee, you can clearly tell that they're Ratchet and Ironhide. Distinctly Ratchet on the right here with the white and red ambulance paint job on his body, and Ironhide here with the very heavy combat truck design that's a dark red like G1 Ironhide usually is. I absolutely love these. And then there's even more text here as the Legion soldiers drive off Bumblebee. You see stuff such as multiple hostile signatures, massing on formation, Ironhide status, damage unknown, signature lost, Ratchet status, damage critical, battle computer failing, power pack failing, energon converter failing. It's all this stuff where if you know how to read Cybertron, which I unfortunately do not though, you could tell this was a Transformers game from the get-go, which is really cool to see. Anyway, after Ratchet and Iron are taken out by these Legion soldiers, this huge one just comes down and like just smashes B's hood, breaks his windshield, and causing him a crash. And that presumably led to him being knocked out by and then for Delvin and all the others to come find him. Then the trailer ends with Bumblebee being successfully rebooted by them all. When we get this little scene, which apparently shows how the heads-up display for Transformers Reactivate is going to look like according to leakers in this game. We also see more text saying stuff such as all systems reactivating, armor core sequencing, energon level scanning, response protocol HITX again, origin unknown purpose, conquest purpose harvest, battle report failure, proximity to ally signatures unknown, last known objective neutralize Legion. After that, the trailer ends with Bumblebee finally waking up, and this is where it's most apparent that it's a Transformers game, because there's a lot of stuff here that Splash Image just sort of stops trying to hide the fact that it's a Transformers game here. First off, when Bumblebee first wakes up and before he starts to stand up, you can actually see behind the Marissa lookalike here, you can see an Autobot logo on the display screen on the left here, as well as schematics for Bumblebee on the bottom right screen here. To the right of Marissa and this other woman behind her, you can actually see this other Cybertronian figure who looks very much like Shockwave, just standing there dormant. I don't know if he's actually just watching them rebuild Bumblebee, or maybe he's just inactive too and they're gonna repower him online next. And it's just cool seeing all these little small Transformers references. But then there is one more as Bumblebee stands up, and that's to the left of Delvin here. You can actually see a little G1 inspired Optimus Prime action figure on this little supply box right here. And that's just the last thing that lets you know, yeah, this is a Transformers game. And it's really cool as you see Bumblebee looks over himself. There's all the duct tape and exposed wiring. And I absolutely love to show that he's been rebuilt by human hands. And then, of course, the trailer ends there with the Transformers Reactivate logo. And I am super excited for it. And so that is everything you need to know about Transformers Reactivate, the brand new Transformers game, our first console and PC one in over 7 years from Splash Damage and Bulkhead Studios. This game's release date is currently not yet known, but a closed beta for the game will be coming out sometime next year in 2023, and will most likely be released for the Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC at the very least, perhaps for the Xbox One and PS4 as well. So are you guys excited as I am for our first proper Transformers video game in over 7 years? If you are, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you guys later.